Okay, let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat. Whenever people bring up the greatest of all time in football, things get heated, right? The conversation usually turns deeply emotional and honestly pretty tribal long before it ever gets rational. But in today's Explainer, we're going to do things a little differently. We're stepping completely away from the fan wars to look at the actual fundamental architecture of their greatness.
So instead of using that famous "who is the GOAT" question to start another argument online, let's completely reframe it. What if we stop looking at Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo just as two rival footballers and start seeing them as representations of completely different paths to perfection? Because really, they aren't just athletes anymore. They represent entirely opposing philosophies of what it actually takes to be the absolute best in the world.
So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll reframe the GOAT debate. Second, we'll look at Ronaldo, built through obsession. Third, we'll explore Messi and his quiet resilience. Fourth, we'll see how these philosophies played out on the pitch. And finally, we'll talk about the sheer privilege of witnessing it all.
All right, part one, reframing the GOAT debate, moving way beyond the emotions. To really get this, we have to stop treating this like a simple clash of statistics. What we're actually looking at is two wildly distinct philosophies of greatness. It's literally a masterclass in peak human performance. On one hand, you have the constructed genius, greatness that is meticulously, aggressively, and loudly forged. And on the other hand, you have the quiet genius, greatness that looks beautifully effortless, but is actually masking a ton of invisible suffering.
Moving into part two, Ronaldo, built through obsession, the constructed genius.
Listen, Cristiano Ronaldo is quite possibly the single greatest example of self-construction in sports history. He is a player who literally transformed himself into a phenomenon. His entire foundation is built on this absolute, unbreakable obsession. We're talking rigid discipline, endless repetition, and a relentless ambition that just never seems to fade. A lot of people say he's simply outworked everyone else, and honestly, when you look at the sources, that's a completely fair statement to make.
And his journey is basically a roadmap of constant, ruthless reinvention. Just think about it. From a kid with humble beginnings in Madeira to bursting onto the global scene in Manchester, hitting absolute, undeniable peak dominance in Madrid, and then continuing that legacy in Turin and beyond. We are talking about more than 20 years at the absolute razor-edge elite level of the sport. It's unreal.
970 plus. Just pause and let the sheer weight of that number wash over you. Over 970 career goals. That staggering figure isn't just a stat, it's undeniable mathematical proof of his physical excellence and his ironclad mentality. It is the direct result of that exact obsession and discipline we were just talking about.
If you are the kind of person who measures greatness by discipline, longevity, and just out-grinding the competition, Ronaldo's trophy cabinet makes one of the most compelling cases in history. 5 Ballon d'Ors, 5 Champions League titles, a European championship. It's practically a monument to the idea that greatness can be aggressively, meticulously built from the ground up.
All right, part three, Messi and his quiet resilience, the quiet genius.
Now, with Messi, there's this profound, often completely unnoticed struggle behind all that on-field magic. When he was just 11 years old, he was diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency. His body was literally too small for professional football. The treatments were incredibly expensive, so much so that his family really struggled to afford them. I mean, imagine the immense, quiet resilience it took for a 13-year-old kid to leave his home in Rosario, Argentina, move across the world to Spain, and leave his entire culture behind, all for a massive dream that completely depended on daily medical injections.
There's this really profound observation about him. He suffered so beautifully that it almost never looked like suffering. Think about it. There were no grand theatrical speeches from a young Messi, no loud declarations of revenge against the people who doubted his size. He just carried this quiet resilience. He bore that weight with such immense grace that the world just saw football's most natural genius, completely missing the heavy burden he was carrying the whole time.
And because of how he came up, Messi's greatness became deeply behavioral. It's incredibly respectful to the game itself. For years and years, he's absorbed these absolutely brutal tackles. And what does he do? He just quietly gets back up. He's rarely theatrical, almost never confrontational, and incredibly humble in victory. He's always seemed way less interested in building a personal brand and far more interested in the pure, unadulterated essence of playing football.
But make no mistake, that quiet nature didn't diminish his impact at all. If anything, it elevated it. Because the reward for that quiet genius, a record-breaking, almost unbelievable 8 Ballon d'Ors. His resume is just mind-bending. Between 870 and 880-plus official goals, well over 380 assists, multiple league titles, and of course, the FIFA World Cup. He generated arguably the most complete attacking statistics the sport of football has ever seen. It's a really powerful reminder that silent battles often exist behind quiet people, and from those invisible battles, pure natural genius can totally flourish.
Section 4. Philosophies on the pitch and their contrasting paths. Now, when you look at these numbers, and keep in mind, they naturally shift a bit as seasons progress. We really shouldn't be looking at this like a scoreboard trying to declare a final winner. Instead, we are looking at crystal clear evidence of 2 perfectly executed master plans. You've got Ronaldo pushing relentlessly toward that mythological 1,000 goal mark through sheer finishing willpower, and then you have Messi balancing over 870 goals with a staggering 380-plus assists, which really highlights his absolute completeness as a playmaker.
So, it really all boils down to this perfectly contrasted picture. On one side, you have discipline, an iron mentality, and ultimate self-construction. Ronaldo was the guy who inspires you to wake up at 5 a.m. and outwork absolutely everyone in the room. On the other side, you have natural genius, pure artistry, and invisible suffering. Messi gives us the beautiful completeness of a talent born from quiet struggle, reminding us of the profound power of quiet resilience.
Which brings us to our final section, the privilege of witnessing. Let's pull this all together.
How do we actually resolve the most fiercely debated topic in modern sports history? Well, the profound truth is, there isn't a singular answer. Who is the true GOAT? Honestly, that simply depends on what human traits you personally value the most. Do you value unrelenting discipline and a warrior mentality above all else? Then your answer is Ronaldo. Do you value natural artistry, vision, and quiet grace? Then your answer is Messi. The absolute best part of this whole era, we never actually had to choose. We were incredibly, ridiculously privileged to watch both of these spectacular philosophies play out live, right in front of us.
So I'm going to leave you with this to chew on. When you look at your own life, your own goals, and your own pursuits, what do you value? Are you driven to forcefully construct your own greatness through relentless obsession? Or are you drawn to cultivating it through quiet resilience? Which philosophy of greatness actually inspires you? Think about that for a bit, and I will catch you in the next explainer.